All right, everybody, on this episode of the Beer Leaguer Podcast, it's a very special episode. We're joined by the producer behind Beers on Ice, social media conglomerate. That's what I'm going to call you guys, social media conglomerate, because you're kind of everywhere. You guys are on, you're on YouTube. I see you on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere with stuff. They're doing all kinds of videos. I'm sure you've come across them. I've obviously hyped them up a bunch on my stuff. I love watching them. You've seen them do mic'd up games, which are hilarious. You've seen them playing games with all sorts of famous and other semi-professional hockey players. And their latest couple of videos that they've been doing have been taking on Nasher and his team down in Columbus at the Heat Wave Arena. So thank you for joining us on this episode, Mike Steiner.
Ross, nice to meet you finally. I'm happy to be on it. It's nice to see a fellow Cleveland beer leaguer doing YouTube and social media and podcasts and streaming. It's a small group of us, but it's glad that we finally got to meet.
Yeah, I am very surprised actually at how big the Cleveland Beer League group is.
Yeah, there's a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
There's too. I think there's too many of them. It waters down a little bit of them. I think that we should kind of consolidate, to be honest, because there's so many players playing in multiple different leagues. But it's great for the growth of hockey in Cleveland. We don't have a NHL team. We only have the Monsters right now, so we definitely need to grow our community. And we're trying our best to refer you and I on social media to do it.
Well, I will say, I feel like you guys, because I've known about you guys for a number of years, you guys were kind of the closest things that we had to the next level below Monsters.
Okay, yeah, all right, we'll take that.
It was always a thing. This is totally pumping your tires for this.
Yeah, yep. I love it.
Is because we play at the same rink. I play where you guys play. Not all my games, but some of them. And it was kind of this mythical thing of the Sunday night guys. And it was always if you had a game that was a little later or a little earlier, and go in and catch you guys playing, and we'd all kind of, I don't know if you ever saw people, we'd stand around and watch it.
Yeah. Well, you guys kind of hit a little bit because normally there's not that many people out there. We don't recognize it, but it is cool to have people watch the games again. And we always try to put our best effort when we got some people in the stands. And there's more people coming to the games, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I've seen in your guys' videos, you actually have fans. There's numbers of people. My games, I'm used to, for my 10:45 games, having one really sad-looking, girlfriend that didn't know better.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody's random kid.
Right.
That's it. That's all we get, besides the rink guy that's standing at the Zamboni doors counting down the last half hour.
Yeah. We definitely have lost the wives and girlfriends watching, and they've been replaced by people that like to see some hockey instead. In the beginning, the wives and girlfriends came, but I think we've messed that up too much, and I can't even tell you the last time my wife came, besides a playoff game. But we've kind of burned that bridge with them. Too many light nights, too many YouTube videos with them. So I think that's the end of it.
Well, you got to start somewhere with it. Now, if you have actual people that want to watch the games, that's pretty nice.
It is pretty cool. It is definitely pretty cool.
So I guess that leads into my first real question.
Yeah.
Is how did Beers on Ice start?
Oh, well, you want the long story or the short story?
We don't have a time limit on the podcast, so as long as you want to make it.
All right. So, I guess, yeah. All right. So we'll go all the way back. So, I guess the story begins in college. So, I went to Hobart College, who's, by the way, just crushing it right now in Division III level, won back-to-back national championships and just set an NCAA record for most wins in a row. I had to get that out there first. So, it was probably about 08. It was probably 06, 07. My sophomore year of college, me and all the hockey guys were looking for an easy A. We just wanted to find something that we can just turn off and we'll get an A and, keep it going. So we decided to do acting classes. I know. There was like 3 of us at, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think it was at like noon. We did acting 1, and the theater department had never had like a sports player come through there, and now they had 3 of them in an acting class, and they kind of fell in love with us because we were like energetic people. We weren't afraid to get up in front of people and do our stuff, and so we kind of made some friends throughout that department. And then one acting class turned into another acting class. And all of a sudden we have this string of hockey players coming through the theater department at Hobart. And so that's when I kind of fell in love with like the performance aspect of it. Getting up on stage or, doing some sort of video. It's kind of like being in a game. There's a little bit of nerves to it. There's a performance aspect of it, whether you do well or don't, and a little bit of, oh, man, I really don't want to mess up my lines. So you get the juice going with it. So done with college, played pro in Europe, and then kind of life kind of started after that, and we did the beer league. And then I was kind of bored. I was just doing work in beer leagues. And I was like, man, I got to find something to do. And I was like, I'm going to pick up some golf. Okay. I know we're going with the long version. So I will just surfing YouTube, trying to figure out how to play golf. And I see all these YouTubers, Grant Horvat and Good and Bob Does Sports and all these things. Well, Bob Does Sports really doesn't teach you how to play golf. But anyways, and then I was like, you know what? I think I want to do a YouTube channel about this. And so I did this YouTube channel. It's called The Ice Golfer. I do like instructional videos for golf and me playing some golf. And then that all got started because my brother, like I mentioned before, he worked in the film industry. He went to Syracuse Film, and he helped me get all this started, all the cameras, what to do with lighting, how to edit. And so he kind of got this all spinning, and then COVID hit. And then I stopped doing the channel because I was at work all the time. And then YouTube golf blew up. I mean, these guys have millions of followers, and I was like, man, this I probably should have stuck with it. And I was like, mate, I got to find something else. And I've been just sitting on this with these hockey players and this good story. It's a very wholesome story, I think we're trying to tell about, us getting together on Sunday nights and playing in this very competitive beer league. And it just happens like all these guys are my best friends from growing up here in Cleveland. And a lot of us played at a very high level. There's, I think, 6 of us played pro. At least I think everyone on the team played college hockey. And it was a kind of a cool story to tell. And then on the side that we're winning this league all the time, and the other teams absolutely hate us and they don't like us. So there's like some contrast about some wholesome, guys getting together on Sunday nights. We're winning. It's fun to watch. And then, by the way, the other teams are pretty pissed at us, and it gets a little intense, and guys are, yapping at each other. So there's some elements to it. And I was like, you know what? I think I should put this on film. And I was pretty nervous to go to the guys and say, like, hey, let's do a YouTube channel. Because, we putting a camera in everyone's face when they're trying to like escape on a Sunday night after a long week. But they were very actually okay with it. And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then I just set a date of like getting everything together and was like, all right, game 1. Cameras are rolling, and then it's just been like a snowball effect since then. And I guess that's the long story of how that got started.
That's awesome. I love how you just glossed over the played pro. It's just like, oh yeah, played pro, but
well, yeah, I mean, I had a short career. I was very fortunate to play at Hobart, and it's Division III, but it's one of the best Division III programs out there. And the coolest thing about being there is one of their main recruiters, because they get like borderline Division I, Division III guys that all have some sort of fatal flaw in their game that they kind of get looked over. And for me, if I were to critique my own game, is I'm very short, but I don't have the mental, I would say, like stamina throughout a game, I lose a lot of my focus, and I'll have like a great period and then I'll give up a couple of goals. And so like Hobart does a great job of finding those guys and then getting them to fix their fatal flaws and then turn into a better player. And so by my senior year, I was playing at a much higher level than when I ever started, and I was able to secure a contract in Europe, which hardly happens for Division III guys, but now it happens a lot more often. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
It's insanely impressive.
I appreciate that. I do.
Yeah, insanely impressive. And that's one of the things that I find funny between like your guys' videos and the stuff that I talk about and the stuff that I know is you're playing with guys that you like pro stuff like that. That level, it's a completely different level of hockey. I'm playing with guys that maybe played high school hockey. Like that might be the top of like, oh yeah, I was like I was the third line grinder on my, high school team. Like those are the guys I'm playing with.
Right.
And so it's very, very different levels. And one of the things I love with your guys' videos is you have like you're mic'd up a lot during it. Right. And the stuff that you guys talk about and hearing you guys talk to each other is the exact same things that the guys that I'm playing with are talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that doesn't change. The level doesn't matter. That stuff's still exactly the same.
Absolutely. There's so many similarities no matter what level you're playing at beer league. It's pretty much all the same guys, and some guys have more skills than others. It's like the same ritual of having beers afterwards, the same talk about like giving each other a hard time on the ice about the bad play, and then or pumping somebody up who's maybe having a bad game, and it's all the same. It's all hockey players are pretty much the same breed, no matter where you played, how high of a level you got to. Pretty much they're all the same.
Yeah, it's so funny to me with that, and I find that super enjoyable.
Good.
It's like a reminder of that, of like, because I know what level I'm playing at. It's nothing impressive. It's awful. I've watched my own games. They're awful. They're awful to watch.
Do you got a live barn access there?
Oh, I record every game.
Oh, absolutely.
I have this rig, right?
I have a whole
rig of GoPros.
Where do you attach that? Behind the net?
Well, no. This is a whole process I've gone through. Of having GoPros behind each net, which is great, but then you have to get behind each net, and you can't have it on the ice.
Absolutely, you're right. Yeah.
So you have to. So that's a huge pain.
Yeah.
So then what I have is I have that whole trifecta of cameras, and I set them up either where the scorer is, or the penalty box right next to it.
Right.
And then I have one camera pointing to each end, and then one in the middle.
Interesting. Huh. I never even thought to do it that way. Because we always just pay a cameraman to sit on the bench.
And you guys are so much better. You have like panning and zooming and all this. And
well, really nice. Sometimes the cameramans, they call off sick. And I'm like, hey, I know, Dad, you're in town. Can you pick up this camera for me? Or once I had my wife do a game. I didn't want her on the bench, though, because I didn't want an accidental like puck to hit her. But she sat like outside with the camera and whatnot. So that might be something. If someone calls off, I might have to tap into that.
Yeah, it works okay. It works pretty good. I get a full glimpse of the whole ice, and
yeah, it's probably better than live barn fiend. I'll tell you that. They are pretty bad.
Yeah.
I've tried to like steal some clips that someone missed, and I'm like, no, I just can't use that.
Yeah, it's better than live barn, for sure. Better than live barn.
I like that.
But unfortunately, that means I see myself play, and it's always the thing of I'm playing and you feel like you're going so fast,
right?
And then you watch yourself, and it's oh man, like is this in half speed or?
Yeah, that's at every level. I'll tell you that. This weekend, I was actually up in New York, and I was watching a college hockey game. And then I came back home, and I'm sitting on the bench at the Sunday night game, and I'm just watching the first shift because I never start. The other guys start. It's one thing that I don't like to do. And I'm watching the first shift, and I'm like you play pro, you played pro, you played Division One. I mean, you're not that old, and these guys are slow. And it's just we're just not what we used to be. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny that everybody says that. I think everybody sees, and I'm sure the guys even in the NHL when they see themselves, they're probably like, "Oh, I look so slow." Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And every hockey player is the same.
I just want to say kudos to you for not starting. I never.
Yeah.
I hate starting.
Yeah. Well, it kind of. I guess when we first started the team, we had far less talent than we do now. But we were much younger and faster. So I don't know. Who knows if we went back to our first team versus what we are now, who would win? But at one point, I mean, I was like the fourth, fifth defenseman on my team. We had Russ Sinkwich played for the Monsters. Harry Quast played in the Coast, but is just the best player on our team. You've probably noticed him. And then Matt Davis, who was my D partner, played in the AHL. And then there was me. And I was like, well, I can't start because I can't tell these guys that I'm better than you. And you guys are all nasty and you're all 6'4". So I was like, well, this is my spot on the bench and I'm going to stay here.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
And you can. Hey, you're the producer of Beers on Ice. You have pull. You can say you want to start.
I'm going to clip that and I'm going to send it to the guys. And I'm going to let them know that I'm back. I'm back starting this Sunday.
I mean, I don't know. I never like starting. I'm the captain. I make the lineup. I could start.
Yeah.
And I always feel weird because I'm the one making the lineup. I feel weird if I put myself in to start.
Yeah. It's good to know that at your guys' level, you're still doing lineups. Because that was one of the similarities I was thinking of between, the high leagues and the less skilled leagues is the organization of it. And I think they're both organized very well. I've subbed in some the Cleveland Heights League now. Mm-hmm. It used to be a pretty top league, and it's kind of fallen off recently. And it's still well organized between both teams. That's for sure. I mean, lineups getting sent, who's playing with who. That's what I do like about the Cleveland beer league scene is like we're very well organized.
I will say it's gotten better.
Really? Okay.
It didn't used to be. When I started, it was a lot. It was sort of a lot of teams are kind of organized of like, we know these, 5 to 8 people are forwards. We know these 3 to 4 people are D, and we have 2 or 3 people that'll kind of move where we need them to. Right. And it was kind of left up to that. And, you just kind of pick stuff. But it's gotten a lot more organized. And I know in league I play in, most of the teams are kind of ridiculously organized because you usually have one person that's similar to me that is all about that. Like,
right. You gotta have that guy.
I'm out there with a magnetic whiteboard with everybody's name, doing the lineups for every game. And
I love that. It just makes the experience better. And it helps with the retention of players and guys to come back. Cause I'm assuming, Brandon is the captain of our team and he runs all of that stuff, the lineups and who's here and who's playing and whatnot. But I'm sure that's a little bit of a drag. I can guarantee, making sure we got enough guys, a goalie. Imagine if a goalie doesn't show up, that can be, I'm assuming, kind of a pain in the butt, but is if you're making it fun and engaging for these guys, they're going to show up. And I'll tell you one thing is with our channel, then we started the channel, I thought on the opposite, we'd lose some guys. Our retention for players coming back every year and then showing up every week has been the best we've ever had, which is great.
Well, from an outsider watching, I can see why. Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys look like you're having a lot of fun with stuff. It just looks like a good time.
We certainly are. We're having a good time. Winning cures everything too.
That's true. That does help. So you were saying there, like kind of the differences between, I'm going to put you guys kind of at the pinnacle of beer league.
Okay.
I don't know.
In Cleveland though.
I'm just saying in general, because okay. I don't know what would be bigger is, I guess, if you had NHL guys playing beer league.
Yeah.
And you guys are all, like you said, guys pretty much all ex-pros or at least very high college players.
Right.
So it's about as good as it can get for beer league.
And it's across all of our teams too in that league.
Which is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
And like where I'm at, which is super low, bottom of beer league. There's like, I think there's a lot of similarities,
right?
But there's definitely differences, and I'm wondering what you thought
of
some of the like differences that you know of that you've seen that are not just not just skill level, obviously.
Right. I would say so. This year, we haven't put any of this on film, but I am playing in a second league this year. I've never done that before, and I'm playing in the Cleveland Heights League, which is it's a step below what our league is. It used to be really good, probably about 5 to 10 years ago. It's fallen off a little bit. So I have a little bit of first experience in the differences in the leagues. And the first thing that jumps out to me is jerseys. So in the league that the Sunday night league, the top league, everyone has jerseys. Everyone has a second jersey away, home and away. And on our team, like everything matches. Like we got black helmets, we got black gloves, we got socks. Like
you guys look so professional.
It looks awesome. And we've tried our best to, make sure it looks good too. But when I go down to the Cleveland Heights League and play, it's a crapshoot of what guys are wearing. But that's not across all the teams. And I'm sure your team is very well organized and your jerseys all match. But you get less of that when you go down the leagues, I feel. Because and one of the reasons is I think there's more interchanging of players in that league too. When guys will hop on and hop off of different teams throughout the season, like, hey, I just we need a few guys and can you come skate with us tonight while we play, Team Green or something like that. But in our league, if we asked a guy from Team Clee to come and play for us, that would never happen. They hate us so much, they would never try to help us out if we were short a guy. I feel like there's a lot more camaraderie amongst the league in the lower leagues, we'll say, than in the top leagues, because I feel the competitive juices are way too high, maybe too high in our leagues. But I would say that, players are a little bit more, I guess, engaging with other teams than that is in the top league. That's the first thing that jumps out of my mind.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. And I think a lot of that is because like you guys all know each other. Like your team is all guys that know each other. So that makes a big difference that you guys are together. Whereas a lot of these other lower leagues, you're kind of thrown in with people.
Right.
So you don't know a lot of guys. Like guys on my team, I mean, I've been on my team now for 16 years, I think. 17 years.
That's impressive. But that's a long time.
Most of the guys on my team have only been on the team for, I'd say, 6 or 7 is kind of the average. But we do have every couple of years we kind of cycle through some guys that leave for whatever reason. But, guys do play on other teams. I play on a second team in my league. It's a different division, but I play on another team. And
there you go.
Because I had guys on my team that played on that team too. And they're like, hey, we need a guy. And you start having that moving around of stuff, and then you have guys that don't know each other as well, and so I think you don't have that I guess, like, I don't know a better way to say it besides like loyalty to your team. Okay. It's kind of just, I want to play hockey. I like to play with guys I know. I don't really care what team it's on.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get into some of that. And a lot of that stuff comes out into things like jerseys and stuff.
Right.
I think it does show that.
Yeah. It's been the same. Our league's an invite only. So you can't just sign up and play. You have to be invited on a team to play. So that limits obviously a ton of people from joining. Mm-hmm. And then because it's the same guys over and over and over again, there's a lot of tension all the time. And some people might not like that and they leave the league. There's some really good players that are still in Cleveland that are not playing in the league because I think they've been, I don't know, they either don't want to deal with the competitiveness or they're kind of tired of all the, extracurriculars that happen on the ice. But yeah, definitely. If I asked one of the PLP guys to come play and he's not coming, We just got to roll with 6-3 and just deal with it. So
6-3 is not that bad.
That's a good 6-4 is prime during the regular season for sure.
Yeah. See, I'm a 6-5 guy.
Oh, okay.
But that's because I'm always on D. I like being the extra. I like being able to take short shifts.
Yeah.
I'm out of shape and terrible, and I know it. So I like to just go out there for a little bit, not hurt my team too much.
Okay. You're a team first guy. We love that. We love
exactly.
That. The other thing I thought of was reffing. I think there's some big differences in reffing between the higher leagues and the lower leagues. And I first experience last night. I played in the Heights League last night, and we have this. I don't know if you've ever seen him before. I'm sure you have around the ice. He's this older. He's a pretty short guy. He's got this huge bushy gray beard. I'm not going to say his name or anything like that, but he is very enthusiastic on the ice. But boy, does he really not know his reffing, and he misses a lot of stuff. And I mean, he's fun to be out there with, but like the reffing differences, I think are different. The Sunday Night League, one of the main refs, he refs for the Monsters. I mean, like he's just picking up extra here. So like, I feel the reffing can vary extremely from leagues. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's you guys your Sunday Night League kind of has like a curated league of stuff. Like it's because you have like it's invite only. I'd imagine your refs are kind of seems to be the same ones just about all the time, and they know what they're doing. And where I play, I play in H&A.
Yeah.
And it's huge. Like it's a ton of teams.
Yeah.
And our reffing is all over the place.
Yeah.
Like it's you kind of learn the refs because you know what they're gonna do or not do. And you have some refs that are really good. They're like they get that it's beer league.
Right.
And they get kind of level their reffing. So they kind of adjust accordingly. And then you have other refs that, call literally everything. And it's like, dude, some of the people just fall down, man. Like, that's not a penalty. It's just some guys can't skate. It happens.
Right.
And then you have other guys, at the other end of it that unless a huge fight breaks out, they're not calling anything. They're just there for their money and to go home.
Yeah. Which is, because guys are playing late. When are your games, by the way? Are they set days or are they kind of random throughout the week?
It can be any time from Sunday through Thursday.
Okay.
And it changes. And they're generally, as in the first 3 quarters of the year, they're usually, I'd say 9:45 or later.
Yeah.
A lot of 10:15s. And then kind of as we get towards the end of our season, which is getting into February, March, and all the kids are finally done.
Right.
Our game times finally start moving up a little bit to maybe an 8:30.
Right. So I think that is another big difference between the leagues is we have very nice ice beer league times. It's 7:40 is the earliest, but we're never starting a game later than 9:30. Or I think 9:15 this year, which has been fantastic. So Clark Stillman, who runs the league, he's been doing this since the 90s, running the Sunday Night League, and he has that locked down, those time slots locked down at Winterhurst for over 25 years. So that is, one of the differences. And then last night, we finally had an early game in the Heights League, and it was at 9 p.m. Normally they're 10:15, and those are brutal, in my opinion, but you get used to them.
That's every night for me. Yeah. All my games are like 10:15 and yeah, between like I said, I play on 2 teams. I also kind of do work for the league, so I'm at other games. So there's plenty of times where there's like 3 or 4 nights a week I'm at games.
Yeah,
they're not ending. If they start 10:15, you're done at maybe 11:30.
Yeah, and then beers afterwards, and then you're lying in bed and you're like, man, I can't sleep because I just worked out for an hour. And then you're looking at 1 o'clock finally falling asleep.
Oh, if I'm lucky. I'm also completely. I'm assuming if you're in Cleveland Heights, you're on the east side of town. If you're playing there. So
sorry, you broke up there for 1 second.
Oh, sorry. I'm assuming if you're playing in the Heights League, you're on the east side of town.
Yes.
Okay. So am I, which means that a lot of the rinks I play at are completely on the other side of town, which some of them are like 45 minutes from me.
That's far.
So yeah, so it's, I have you get done at like 11:30 ish. Maybe you're getting out of there at 12, probably more like, well, it depends when they kind of kick you out.
Right.
And if we don't go out afterwards, because sometimes there is that.
Yeah, there is that too. You got to factor
like if
that
you're out at 12, like I'm not home until almost 1.
Right.
Yeah, that's big. I'm wondering how you guys. This is one of the questions I was going to ask for what you see, and also if you have any good stories about this of going out after games. Like there is always the locker room beers.
Yeah.
But then there's the after locker room.
Yeah. There, one story I can't tell, because that would ruin things for some people. But what I can tell is, so our first, so I'll start here. Nowadays, we go afterwards to the Swinging Door in Rocky River, and they've been very nice to have us. Not an official sponsor yet, so this is not an ad for them, but they treat us very well. And there is a volleyball league that goes there afterwards too, so it gets pretty packed on Sunday nights there, which has been a lot of fun. And they've been hooking us up for a while. It's been great. But one year after we won, I think it was our second championship. So we won the first year we were there. Then we lost the next 2 years in a row in the semis. And we had this bugaboo. We couldn't get out of the semis, and we were getting beat by this goalie. His name's Brooks Ostergaard. He played at Robert Morris University, and he had our number in the playoffs. We couldn't get by him. So we won the first year, lost the next 2 years, and then finally we got off. We started our streak, and then we won. And so we went out to downtown Cleveland on Sunday night. And it was, I guess it was probably March or April at that point, and we were the only people down at what's that nightclub on West 6th? Which one is it? Shoot. Anyways, it was one of the popular nightclubs in West 6th, and we went all down there with the hockey guys, and they were like, "What are you doing here? You're the only people here in the bar." And we shut the place down till, I think bars in Cleveland are here till 2 on Sundays. So we definitely partied pretty hard that night, and we got in a lot of trouble with the wives after that one. That was for sure a bad choice by us. I don't know. Yeah, but we haven't done one of those since then. So guys are pretty gun shy to going out to downtown Cleveland after a championship for sure.
I'm honestly just more shocked that anything was actually open in downtown Cleveland.
Yeah,
that late on a Sunday night.
I can't remember which one it is, but that shows we don't do that anymore.
That's I know for my team that's always a thing. If we know, depending what rink we're at, because we're at different rinks, we know what bars are open, like how late, and then we know if anybody has food late.
Yeah, that's the key, because I'm always starving after a game.
Yeah, because we kind of circle around, because a lot of places are open until 2, but they're only serving drinks and no food.
Right.
And a lot of places, kitchens close at 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And we're showing up at almost midnight.
Right. Yeah. So, well, we gotta work on those bars. The special, I guess, give you guys a special deal for a sponsorship. They'll stay late if you keep going there frequently.
Maybe that'd be nice.
Do you guys have any sponsors on your team?
No.
Because I know in the lower leagues they actually do have lots of sponsors.
Yeah, they've had them. In all reality, I think we know enough like bars and stuff that we could probably get sponsored for.
Right.
But what I always tell everybody is, I'm not going to get us a sponsor. I do enough other stuff. Like I handle all the other stuff for my team behind this. Like I do all the finances and any schedule stuff we need to do and everything. And I don't want to handle getting a sponsor as well. Yeah. So if anybody wants to get one, fine. But I'm not doing it.
So we kind of have our set sponsors. We've obviously got Numa. That's our big sponsor, the energy drink from Cleveland. And then after this year, I had some people contact me about it for the YouTube channel, but there's just so many like, all right, you got to have this, so many metrics you got to hit for it, and like we need this many like references and this many videos, and I was just like, I don't ever want to be strung to like, all right, we got to get this video out as soon as possible because we have to hit these metrics for our sponsors. And I've decided to kind of not pursue that right now. I don't want to be forced to like make a video just to make a video because the sponsor wants it out there and they need their views. And it's been very, I would say, freeing for me and the guys that, you know, we're only putting out videos that we like, right? And we're not just going to throw out a video every single week because we have to. I really just want to put out videos that we think are good and that people would like. And so we've had opportunities to do sponsors, but we haven't really pursued that at this point. Unless, you know, Bauer wants to come along and supply all sticks and give us new gloves, and we'll make the videos happen then. But you know, until the big dogs come calling, which I doubt they will, but that you know, that's kind of
maybe after this episode.
There we go. Shout out Bauer. Hey, shout out Shift too. Shift is our first hockey sponsorship, and they supplied us with sticks last year, and they're great guys over there. You know, those are Cleveland guys too.
Are they really?
Yeah. They're east side of Cleveland guys, and they're in Chicago now. Great dudes. Great stick too. I love Shift sticks. Yeah. And those are great beer league sticks anyways. They're very affordable. I mean, I was at Pirani's getting my skates sharpened, by the way, which is crazy. It's like $15 to get your skates sharpened nowadays. And looking at the prices of these sticks, and they're $300, $400 for the top of the line. And there's finally some companies out there that are, selling these sticks for much better prices.
Yeah, I think they're finally getting wise to that, you need not a garbage stick, but you don't need the top of the line sticks for, to play beer league.
Right. Well, that's one difference that you'll notice in, the different leagues is the types of sticks you got there. The young guys that are fresh out of college, they all have the new skates and they got all the new Bauer hyper lights and all that stuff. And then when I go down to the Heights League and watch it, like these guys, one guy had a wooden stick. And I was just like, you just don't see that anymore.
Well, that's always, I know, like for my league, one of the ways we can always tell if a guy is really good is you look at his pants. That's one of the keys. If the guy has like new pants, he's probably not very good because he probably, just started. But it's the guys that have like the giant holes in like the pants and like they're barely pants. They're like, they're kind of like just
they're shells. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that you're wearing, like those are the guys that you see and you go, oh man, this guy's gonna be good. Crap. Because that's one of those, those are probably his pants from,
Yeah. When he was playing college somewhere.
Yeah. And it's like, and he doesn't want to give them up. And you're like,
Yeah. I always watch out for the guys who have NHL stuff. So a lot of the guys
have to watch for that.
Well, guys will have, even though we know all the guys who play in the show, and we currently don't have anyone right now in the league, but in the past we've had, and you would see just like a small like San Jose Sharks little thing on his pants. We're like, oh crap, he's playing today. Or like they'll have the little sticker, even they played in like the AHL, they'll have a little Philadelphia Flyers thing on the back, and like, oh crap, he went to camp in Philly. This guy's gonna be good tonight. So yeah, definitely the equipment is a tell for the player, that's for sure.
Yeah, see, we have the same thing, but it's for guys that played college.
Right.
Right. It doesn't matter what college. It's could have been a club team, and we're going, crap.
Yeah. Even still, those are, if they're young and they got good legs, the hockey players nowadays, even club hockey is, really quality hockey these days. These guys can play. That's for sure.
This makes me wonder now, because you're saying looking at equipment, is what you would think if you saw my hockey equipment. What you would think.
What do you got? What's
So-
in the bag for Mike the Beer Leaguer? We should do an episode.
Well, the one thing I'm thinking, like, I have old skates that I love that I'm not getting rid of. Some
All
old
right.
Easton Mako skates.
Easton Mako? Wow. Those put my skates to shame.
It's the only thing that fit my feet.
Okay.
So, and then my sticks that I use,
Yeah.
generally, like I've been into, they're the all black hockey sticks brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are the bright pink sticks. It's the
Wow.
whole stick is just, there's no branding, no anything. It's just bright pink.
I got to see this. I got to see. So you're telling me you haven't, by the way, cool name that's all black and we're the same hockey club. So that's pretty cool. But the company that says they're only having black, they actually sell pink sticks. That's interesting.
They did them for Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay. All right.
And then the guy that runs it, super, super nice guy, really, really friendly guy. That's where I buy all my team, both of the teams I'm on jerseys and stuff from.
Oh, okay.
So I've gotten to know him. And I was like, hey, if you ever find any more of those all pink sticks, or if you do another run,
yeah,
let me know. And finally, like 2 years later, he's like, yeah, hey, we have some more.
Yeah.
Give you a good deal. So
now, do you have a specific curve when you get that stick deal, or are you kind of choosing whatever they got?
This was whatever they got.
Okay, yeah. So that's another tell when you're looking at difference between the leagues. If a guy walks in with one stick, he might not be a good player. If he's got at least two sticks, all right, he could be working. He's bringing three, he might be overcooking it. Now it goes back the other way. Or you see a guy with multiple different curves, that might be a tell.
Yeah, the curve I had before this, and I loved this stick, and it broke right away, and I was so sad. It had a straight blade.
I've never seen that.
Completely straight, like I used to use in like my roller hockey days and stuff. Just completely straight.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to get a stick like that finally, and I think I played like 5 shifts with it.
Okay.
And it broke.
Oh, okay. Like on a shot, or like you gave someone a two-hander and it just snapped?
Definitely not a shot. I'm not shooting anything that hard. No, it was a guy actually skated over it.
Oh, okay.
Like he just skated over it and just like cracked the blade really badly. And
oh, geez.
Yeah.
That by the way, is now devastating when you actually break a stick, and you could feel it like across the ice too. Everyone's like, oh, that's another $200, $300 for that guy. Like last night, a guy was kind of skating around the corner, and where like sometimes the edge on the door is a little cracked, his blade stuck into that, and like he almost like speared himself.
Yeah.
And his blade broke. You could just hear everyone just sigh. He's like, oh no, that guy's got to get a new stick.
Yeah. No, I've seen that. Like I've seen people's blades get stuck in that, and that's because if it breaks like that, that's awful. But
Right.
if it breaks when you're shooting, I feel like that's not as bad because you're like, oh, that looked cool.
Yeah. Like that guy tried to take a one-timer and snapped.
Yeah, because I've seen that, and it's super rare with the guys I play with, but I have seen it where a guy, winds up for a shot and it snaps on the shot. You're like, oh, wow, oh, he really got a hold of it.
Yeah.
Usually the puck goes like 2 feet because the thing snapped, and everyone's like, ooh, wow, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Definitely equipment is a tell between the leagues. That's for sure.
I'm excited. I'm gonna need to get you to eval all my equipment then.
Yeah,
we
definitely need a what's in the bag episode here.
I'll do that. I've been thinking, you know what? It's funny because you say that like the very first video I had on YouTube was a what's in the bag video.
Really?
And I had like no context to anything. It was just like me doing like, oh, I'll try doing this.
Right.
Like 10 years ago. And somebody on my team found it, and they laughed about it for years. But it was because it's just a random video of me going through. It was in my hockey bag.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure the picture quality was great 10 years ago too.
Oh, it was awesome. It was beautiful, beautiful quality.
Yeah. I've been, you speaking of that, I just I'm finally made the decision that I'm going to go with some new skates, and I brought up Bauer on the computer today, and I was looking at some prices, and it just shocked me with what the cost is for equipment now. I've been hanging on to, like, I had a couple extra pairs of skates after I was done playing hockey, 12 sticks and a few extras things and that. And it's like I'm coming to the last bit. I mean, these skates aren't looking very good, and the sticks are. I mean, I played with a 85 flex back in the day, which was really whippy. Well, nowadays guys are using like 65s. It's crazy.
That's what
I mean, yeah, that thing is like my 85 flex is maybe a 55 now, and it's just I gotta finally bite the bullet and buy some things, and these prices are outrageous right now. Outrageous.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. That's that's the biggest thing for me with when I talk to people that don't play hockey, and they, a lot of guys get interested. Like, oh, I'd love to play. I'd love to get into it. And it's the sticker shock, because there is so much sticker shock just to start.
Yeah.
Just not even getting like super high end stuff, but I mean, like, even low level skates are a couple $100.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a thing hockey needs to tackle over, the next couple of decades. Is we got to lower the barrier of entry to allow more people to play. I mean, it's such a beautiful sport. I mean, in my opinion, it's the best professional sport out there to watch in person and at home. I mean, watching a football game, speaking of our Browns, but like going to a Browns game, it's like we stink. It's much easier to watch on television, but hockey, no matter what, in person or at home, is just amazing to watch. And we need to find a better way to start allowing more people, to get equipment just to play. And that's why, I've been, thinking more about roller hockey, because roller hockey has a far easier entry into it. You just need roller blades, which, are cheaper than hockey blades, but they're not, that cheap. And then you just need a stick. I mean, like the equipment that they use, when I was shocked when we played our first tournament down in Columbus, I was like, I feel like I need more equipment out there. I was like, you guys don't wear pants? They like wear these like little shells. Guys didn't even like have elbow pads on. I was like, should I wear shoulders out here? They're like, no, you can't wear shoulder pads. So just in general, the, entry into roller hockey is much easier. And I think we need to start pushing roller hockey in Cleveland, to be honest. Like, I'm sure you noticed, Ross, back in the day, that like there was a pretty big culture in roller hockey in Cleveland like 20 years ago. Like with street heat back down in the flats back in the day, but that's all gone. There's no roller hockey rinks out there that I know of. And it not only is it good training for kids in the off season, but maybe someone just plays roller hockey instead of hockey. We just don't have that here.
No, that's very true. I don't think it's not just a Cleveland area thing. I think it's a huge part of the country thing. Like the whole, I don't want to say just Midwest, but everywhere. Because I know roller hockey's still big in like California and on the West Coast.
Huge over there.
Still do a ton there. Which I wish they'd bring back like RHI or something. Yeah. But
or that Pro Beach.
The Pro Beach.
I've seen so much of that on the internet recently.
Well, they just did a documentary about it.
That's why. Okay.
They just did a whole documentary about that. Yeah. Like I grew up playing roller hockey. I didn't grow up playing ice at all. Really? It was too expensive. Yeah. And we didn't have I didn't have a team I could play ice for until actually nowhere, because my high school didn't have an ice hockey team until years after I left. My college didn't have an ice hockey team, even a club team, until years after I left.
Yeah.
So I was a roller guy for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And that's why it was like I didn't have anywhere to play ice. Ice was expensive, so I couldn't just, go do it somewhere.
Right.
My parents weren't going to just like shell out money for something that like I'd never ice skated. They're not going to be like, yeah, let's get you out there and try this.
I got so incredibly lucky with hockey because my best friend growing up was his dad was Canadian, and he got my best friend Dan Evans and I on the ice early. very early. And if in hockey, if you don't start skating when you start walking, you're already behind the ball. Like
Yes,
it's one of the
I
hardest
concur.
sports to jump in your like teens. Like you can do that in football and you can hop in like in high school and then get drafted in the NFL 4 years later. But hockey, if you just can't do it. You gotta skate.
Well, I mean, skating's the whole thing.
Yeah.
With hockey, and it's fundamental to doing anything else. And I think another difference between leagues is, the guys I play with obviously aren't good skaters, and a
Yeah.
lot of it is we have to all think about skating while we're doing stuff. We can't think of the hockey stuff to do
Right.
while we're skating. It's like, no, I'm skating, so I keep going forward. I don't fall over. I don't hit this guy that's not able to skate very well.
Right.
Like, I can't be thinking about what I'm doing with the puck or anything like that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I've never thought about skating before, so I can understand that could be
See?
challenging for sure. Yeah.
It'd be, I think, a similar thing if you tried to basically play hockey on a unicycle.
Okay.
Like
Very cool analogy.
I'm sure you could figure out, you'd learn how to ride a unicycle.
Right. But you're
But
thinking all the time about it.
yeah, the whole time you're trying to not fall over while you're doing it.
Right. That's interesting. You know, and that also made me think about some differences is when you're playing at those higher levels, you always know in your mind where everyone kind of is on the ice. And you're not going to run into each other because like everyone's played the game at a higher level and they know kind of where everyone should or should not be. And then I've seen so many clips online of like, beer leaguers that are just running into each other and like guys tripping over this and falling over that. And that has got to be a little bit challenging. Not only these guys are thinking of like, all right, I need to cross over here and make sure I don't fall on this tight turn here, but then boom, there's a guy who's not supposed to be there right in front of your face.
That is tough. That's actually the reason I started wearing a cage. Like I played pretty highly competitive roller hockey growing up.
Yeah.
And stopped like in my mid-20s. And until it took me getting my glasses, because I wore glasses when I played. It took me getting them shattered into my eyes 3 times to go, I'll get a half shield.
Okay.
And that was it. And I started with a half shield when I was playing ice. And it was like our first or second like game that we were playing. And there's just a guy in front of me. We're just skating. And he just falls. Like not for anything. He wasn't trying to do anything. I didn't do anything. He just fell. His stick went up in the air, hit me in the shoulder. And I just, because everybody was saying you should get a cage. I was like, oh, half shield's fine. Yeah. Hit me in the shoulder. And I went, okay, nope. Like there's literally nothing I can do to prevent this. I'm getting a cage. Like, because there's, lower levels. That happens. Dudes just fall.
Yeah.
Guys know what they're doing. Like,
you're actually lucked out. The reason why I went with the cage is I got a stick in the mouth and had to get a root canal on that guy right there. So then I finally put a cage on. And then recently 2 guys on Team Clee, our rivals, they both got their teeth knocked out. Now they're finally putting it's usually the story goes when you finally get one in the teeth, that's when you put a cage on. And so I feel like you lucked out.
Well, I had the glasses in my eye. Like,
that's bad. That's probably worse.
Yeah, like you were talking about, like one of those was that actually twice this happened at Street Heat. You're talking about the old roller hockey thing is I used to always try and block shots. I got to know the Lumberjacks old trainer, Dave Zanobi.
Okay.
Who I think is maybe still in the NHL now. I got to know him very well because twice he was over at my games pulling pieces of my glasses out from around my eye.
Man, that's actually all right. So, all right, I take that all back. I take that the glass in the eyes is worse than the teeth. You can get your teeth fixed, but you can't replace your eyes. That's
sure. But fine. They see. I mean, my eyes don't work great, but they're not broken. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, that Street Heat tournament that thing was awesome back in the day. I mean, it was right down the flats. I think that was by Shooters down the flats.
Yep.
Or another establishment called Christie's. It was down there. And it was just so much fun as a kid. And that's where, like, I first did roller hockey. I never did it after that. and then we kind of picked it up finally a couple months back this summer. And that's going to be like a new part of the channel, is seeing how we can transition from ice hockey to roller hockey. And that's going to be fun.
Well, it's fun because it's different. I think a lot of people, until you play both, you don't realize there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. First of all, stopping. That's one. That I can, man, that's difficult. I just don't get it. It's kind of like a hard turn that you let your foot slide a little bit. I can only stop on my right side now, so that's interesting. Now that's basically what I am. Like, I'm like a low level roller hockey player that, like, I still got to think about skating, and we're gonna see where we go from there.
No, I think, like I was talking before about the videos, the things that are really funny is, especially the first couple ones you guys did, where you did the roller hockey, is hearing you guys talk about this stuff. You could hear not just the stuff you said, but hear kind of the, I think, amazement of not being able to do all the stuff you do on ice. Like, it's just not, it's not exactly the same. It doesn't completely translate over.
Yeah. And then we actually shocked in Nashville. We beat them, and that was really cool. But things changed drastically in the last episode that just dropped on Monday. So won't give it away, but things kind of changed finally when we got to play Nashville again.
No, I love that. And so you have an idea kind of being a beginner then, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that.
Absolutely. I am full-fledged a beginner roller hockey player, and I love it. It's something I want to continue to do now because it's a lot cheaper to do than ice hockey. So it's, on the money scale, it's easier. And then two, it's kind of a new project. It's like it's a cool new toy that you're playing with, and you want to see how long it can go. And the plan is to go down to Wish Cup in Nashville and compete in that tournament.
Wow.
That's the big plan. And we're currently recruiting roller hockey players to go down there because we can't go with 6 guys like we go down to Columbus with and then get completely gassed by the finals. But we're putting a full team together. We're going to go down to Wish Cup. And put that all on film, and so that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys need somebody that's terrible and hasn't played roller in 15 years, so
you know what, your resume early on, it caught my eyes. I was like, this could be good for the team.
I put on rollerblades, I think about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And that's been it.
That's been it. All right. Well,
that's been it. So
we got to build a rink. We got to build a roller hockey rink, and then we're going to bring roller hockey back in Cleveland. The Beer Leaguer podcast and the Beers on Ice YouTube channel. We're going to bring it back.
I would love it. I was so sad. The rink I used to play at was an outdoor rink, and we competed with basketball. They would take down the board. It had like chain link fence for boards. They took that down and would play basketball. And I was out there a couple years ago, and there's just like boards on the sides now. They took off completely all the boards. It's just basketball. That was very sad.
Yeah. I think that would be the easiest way to build a rink, would be outside. You just got to find a space and put the boards down and put the, I guess I don't even know what tile goes down on that anyways, but you got to just need a roof over top, and that's it. You don't need a fancy building. You
can do sport court tile. That's the kind of name that you usually get for it. I know way too much about this because we worked on that rink when I was younger. And get that. I mean, I've played on just when we did street heat, you just play on blacktop. That works.
It does. But I did learn there is street blades, and then there's indoor blades as well. I've learned that. I got them both. Because I showed up for like our first quote practice before we went down to Columbus with the outdoor wheels, and I was slipping all over the place.
Oh, that's another thing I think people don't realize. Like, there is a whole thing with roller hockey of your wheel hardness, your wheel material, and then your wheel size.
Okay. I don't know anything about the size yet, so I need some research.
You can do like rockering your wheels and stuff, and
okay,
there's all sorts of stuff you can get into with it.
Oh boy, I'm really behind on this now.
Yeah, if you want to get nerdy about any kind of hockey equipment.
Yeah, well, I see your podcast. You do all of these reviews on all these equipment. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I might not be good at playing, but I like the equipment.
Yeah, so I like that.
Can you stick around for a little? Do you have a hard stop?
No, yeah, I'm free.
Perfect. I had some questions. I actually prepared questions to ask.
All right, let's rock
some things. Let's see, because you've answered a lot of these already. Okay, here. What do you miss from professional hockey?
Okay.
That you wish you could carry over into beer league?
Besides all the free equipment?
Besides that.
Besides all the free stuff, the free food, the free drinks, the free skates, I would say what I miss the most, you know what? In all honesty, what I miss the most that we try to recreate as much as possible with our current team, but it was just when we were over in Europe playing, was just the camaraderie off the ice was the thing I missed the most. Like, as one of the imports on the team, there's only a select few of us, and we would do everything together because we were all in this like kind of, ship together. We're like the only, North American guys in a foreign country. We were the only ones who like spoke English to each other. And we were so close knit together. We'd always go out to dinner like 3-4 times a week. We're just hanging out all the time. So we carried all that fun that we had in the locker room, and it just continued during the weeks. And that's one thing I would say I miss the most with my current quote team, is that, we have such a great time, but it only happens once a week for about 2 hours. And everyone goes back home to their own individual lives with their wives or their girlfriends or their family. But we all have that drive to like hang out more often. And when you're playing pro, it's, you wake up, you go to practice, you go to lunch, and then you're done until the next day. And then you have games, and you're traveling all the time. And you're with each other all the time. And I would say that's the number one thing I miss the most, besides all the free equipment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that, because it sounds like you guys are pretty tight-knit group. And
yeah, but the party stops at, 11 o'clock on Sunday, and we don't see each other again for, next week.
11 o'clock. That's the second period of one of my games.
The one perks about playing the Sunday night league, we got good times.
That is true. Okay, so along those lines, then, one of the things, you've heard the show, so you know some of the stuff we talk about. A big thing we talk about is what makes a locker room a good locker room.
Right.
Obviously, you guys have a good locker room, it sounds like.
Yeah, we do.
Like you don't have any problems. What do you think makes it a good locker room?
I think everyone has a role in the locker room, whether they know it or not. So, and there's always a locker room dynamic of like the cool kids are in their one spot, and we all know that they're over there and they're kind of leading the conversation. But then there's always a dynamic of there's the leader in the locker room. There's kind of the joker in the locker room, the guy that's always like starting the conversations and cracking all the jokes. There's one guy who's like, quote, the jester that gets like made fun of all the time, whether, he's, deserves it or not, but everyone falls into a role in the locker room, and it's kind of like your, space on the team anyways. It's just a reflection of what's happening on the ice and in the locker room. And I think if everyone understands what their role is and doesn't try to do too much, that always makes a good locker room. And that's why I say whether you know you have a role or not, I think is important. And so, like, for me, for example, I would say my role is I kind of get made fun of a lot in the locker room. Obviously, I put it on myself with the YouTube channel and whatnot, but like that is kind of my role in the locker room. There's other guys on the team. I won't say which ones who kind of get made fun of, but there's a definite leader in the locker room, and that's Brandon, the captain. And then we have our cool group of guys too, and it's everyone knows what they're doing, and they kind of follow the role. And some people try to get a new role, and usually they get shut down and put back into their old role. But I would say that's definitely important to a healthy locker room, is everyone doing their job and showing up for the games too. That's very healthy. When you got like 5 guys will get pretty pissed.
Yeah, having guys show up, actually, that does help.
Yeah,
that was a very eloquent answer. That was really good. Wow.
I appreciate that.
So how does that work then when you guys add people? I know you said there's not like a lot of turnover,
right?
But when you do add somebody, how does that work with that? Because I mean, obviously it's going to shift things a little bit.
Right. So we do have a recruiting process, and we do bring guys in for tryouts. That sounds really bad, but we want to see if they, quote, fit right on the team. And we have guys that we know that went to Gilmore with us, but sometimes they don't fit right from like on the team, not because we don't like them as people, because we do. There's guys in the league that went to Gilmore with us that are like even best friends on the team, but they play on opposite teams. Is like we have that position already. And also we're kind of making sure that we distribute some of the talent amongst the league. Like if we kind of go after another pro guy, that would kind of be a little too much. And so recently we've been recruiting because we had an injury to a guy, unfortunately, this year, and he's out for the season, non-hockey related though, which was kind of weird. We had one guy kind of take a back seat and stopped playing. And so we had to go find 2 new players. So first I went to Gilmore Academy. That's where we all went. And I went to an alumni skate and found some guys who played. And I was like, oh, all right. And he was like, and you're like 24? Awesome. Like, you didn't play pro. Even better. Like, and why don't you come along and come skate with us? And so, gosh, I don't know where I'm going with all this, but that's how we kind of find new guys, is we use our network, and we try to keep it amongst people that we know and that fit well on our team. Like, we've been looking for a defenseman for a while now, but we've had opportunity to have guys play, but they didn't quite fit in our defensive core. Like, we needed this type of defenseman, and we're just not going to just bring someone along, because when we want someone to be on the team, we want them to be committed and play. And that's a big part of why I think this has lasted so long for us, because everyone's committed to being there all the time. And if you're not committed to playing, I mean, you can obviously miss games, but we don't want you to be gone for like a month and a half and like, oh, where were you? I was like, kind of want to watch the Sunday football game. I was like, well, unfortunately, that's when we're playing. And that keeps the competitiveness of the league, is because guys are committed to being there on Sunday night. And that's why the league is, I think, in my opinion, been so much fun to play in, because guys want to compete. They want to be there. And we hardly ever have those games when there's like 7 guys.
Wow, that's hearing that. There's another huge difference between leagues, is you guys are looking for like certain roles to fill on the team.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I'm looking for somebody for my team, I do think of, wow, we could really use somebody else that can play defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't go look for somebody that's like a defenseman.
Right.
I have to look for someone that would be willing to play defense, because nobody wants to. Everybody wants to be a forward. And hopefully that means it's someone that can somewhat skate backwards, like bonus. And like, that's it. Whereas, it's like, I couldn't find anybody like that. So we got this guy who, I don't know. Somebody will have to move back to defense or something. We can't recruit for positions.
Right. Yeah, that's fortunate we're in the spot where we can recruit for positions, but that doesn't always work out. Like currently, right now, we have two of our forwards that are kind of mingling in at defenseman. Sarmiento's playing D with us, and Shimori's playing D, and those are both traditional forwards. And we're obviously still looking for that fourth D man that we need. But Cody's fortunately played some D growing up, and he's played at a high level. And Shimori's a great skater, and so he's able to go forward, backwards easily. And he's, both those guys have filled in tremendously for us this year. And so we have the, I guess, luxury to kind of recruit and get the right guy, the right fit. So it's an ecosystem that you don't want to mess up. You don't want to bring in the wrong guy.
And that's a nice luxury. And then the fact that you guys are able to kind of use your network of people, I think that's really got to help too for the non-hockey aspect, which when I'm looking for guys, that's almost more important than the hockey aspect.
You got to be a good locker room guy.
Yeah. Like I always say, I'm always looking for somebody that's a good hang.
Right.
I guess got to be somebody I would like to hang out with.
Yeah. That's huge. That is huge. When we got great guys on our team too, that's obviously probably up there with the important aspects of a player that we want is you can't mess up the locker room, especially when there's cameras in there, and it's like it's already touchy when guys sometimes don't want to be on camera, and
it's got to be a whole nother level of. I didn't even think of that because like we were talking, I record all my games, but it's on the ice. It's nothing off the ice.
Yeah,
for my guys, and it's got to be a whole nother level to be asking of guys of like, all right, you fit what we're looking for positionally.
Oh, by the way, we have a
talent
YouTube
level. You seem cool, but also you're comfortable on camera, right?
Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah. Let me see you read this card and do an intro for a YouTube channel. Yeah, that definitely makes it hard. We And the thing is, like, the biggest feedback that we get from people who, and I love getting feedback about our channel, is they want more and more and more locker room post-game stuff. They're like, that's what we like. We like, all right, we get it. You guys win the hockey games. I don't care. Like, what are you guys talking about in the locker room? What funny things you're doing after the game? Where are you guys going for beers? And that's where, for me, it has to get really, I got to be careful with what we're doing and put a cap on it, because that will break up a locker room if things get too much YouTube. Just that will break the whole point of why we do this. And so, I'm very, very conscious of what is going on in the locker room, and I pull it back when things are a little rocky, and then when times are great, I'm like, all right, we're doing more videos. But and also, and it goes back to my point about with the sponsors and not taking them on because forcing to do channels, like that would be another reason I would, if we're doing a video every single week, that would screw the locker room up, because guys are like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm mic'd up again today. God. So yeah, it's just the whole part of it.
Yeah. I can totally see that. I can't imagine if I tried to like have guys mic'd up or try to talk to guys in the locker room afterwards. Like I know some guys would be great and they'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
That'd be like 2 or 3 guys. And I think the rest of them would just either, I want nothing to do with it, or they would clam up about everything. And
yeah, I'll tell you, the guys that you don't think are going to be funny are sometimes the funniest guys on the ice. And it might be just a clip or two, but that's what might make a video. And sometimes it's just, it comes out of absolutely nowhere, and you're like, all right, this guy's absolute gold. And that's with our goalie Keith. When we mic him up, he's the most requested guy to get mic'd up every single time. And I would love to put a mic on him at every single game, just put a camera behind him and let him go. and he just says the funniest stuff on the ice. But like, I got to be careful. I can't do every single week with him because, he's also, trying to play hard. So, yeah. And I didn't think, of course, I know Keith, I know he's a funny guy, but I didn't think he was going to be this funny. And
there's a big difference too between guys that are funny and then guys that are funny, like just like even on the bench, or guys that are funny during the game.
Right.
Like those are very different, very different things.
Absolutely. And one of our players, Russ Sinkwish, the guy who owns Ohio Hockey Project, he's a very, professional, nice, very wholesome guy. But when he goes on the ice, sometimes he's just chirping the other team. And like, where did that come from, Russ? He's just really, really funny and witty. And I was just like, wow, okay, we got something here.
Nice. Yeah. All right. In the effort of not keeping you super long, also in not having a insanely long episode.
Okay.
But I'll say now, I'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. Absolutely. This was fun.
I want to ask you some like quick or that questions.
Got it.
All right. So just kind of real short answer things.
Perfect.
6 a.m. game or 11 p.m. game?
I have to go 11 p.m.
Parking lot cookout or locker room beers?
Parking lot cookout. For sure.
All right.
Are these too short?
No, this is it. It's all, if you feel
cool.
You need to explain any of these, you can, but
okay.
Well,
I'll play 11 p.m. because I got to work in the morning.
We've all got to work in the morning.
Yeah, but I really got to work in the morning.
Base layer or no base layer?
Base layer for sure. I'm cold.
Right. And along with that, skate socks or dress socks?
Skate socks, and I wear 2 pairs. Light up.
2. Okay. Slap shot or wrist shot?
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to go with a slap shot because I haven't taken one in like 2 years because I'm afraid to break my last 2 sticks.
And then finally, wheel bag or backpack bag?
100,000% wheel bag because the first 5 or 6 years I had one in beer league and I got chirped every day for it.
I love having it. I don't have a wheel bag anymore, but I loved having it because I carry a bunch of crap, and it's so nice.
Yeah. Oh boy, I got chirped all the time for it.
All right. Well, I think that kind of is it. Why don't
you?
I will ask you to kind of give the where everybody should follow you, what you would like them to do, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our Beers on Ice YouTube channel that follows the story of the All Blacks Hockey Club and the Sunday Night Hockey League. You can find us on Beers on Ice on Instagram, Beers on Ice on TikTok, and we're just starting to do some streaming on Twitch and TikTok as well, all under Beers on Ice. So you can find us there. We'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Well, thank you much, Mr. Steiner. I'll end this by, as I always do, everybody, for Beer Leaguer Podcast, any of the stuff you can do, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. It's the way we get people to see the show and people like Mike here to go, hey, I'd like to be on the show.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Mike. Beer on Ice. Go check him out on everything. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Catch you in the next one.
Peace.